Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight. This is Breakaway, and this is class number 2. And for those of you who are watching this recording, not with us, why aren't you with us? We miss you. We know that Z is in here tonight, so let me introduce you to Z. Z is a virtual learncaster. So for those of you who are VLCs who don't know Z, well, she's family. So Z, you are based in Penang, is that right?
Right.
Yeah. And are you attached to USM? I never found out.
I
Are
was
you
from USM, but I'm not attached to USM.
okay? So you're not a lecturer then.
Nope.
All right, all right. So now you're running your own business.
Yes.
Is it a training business?
Well, I wouldn't say that I am running a training business myself,
Hmm?
but I'm attached to a training provider. But I'm
Okay,
also teaching my own participants. I organize my own classes.
okay, okay. So
Mm,
that's why you're here for this course. Is that correct?
exactly.
Okay. So hopefully I can give you the benefit of some of my, I won't call it experience because it seems like, wow, as if Nazreen knows everything. But the fact is, I actually learned this from someone else. Okay, so the story goes, and the story is true. um, I started out as a trainer, proper. No. Let's start with the improper first. So I started as an improper trainer in 1996. So I was still studying at the time, and after I love to study Silat. I love Silat. You guys know this. And in '96, I was offered to be a Silat instructor, and I jumped at it. I just like, oh, cool. And that was when I started learning, oh, it's not easy teaching people. Rupa-rupa is not easy. And you think you've communicated it well, but then they don't understand it and they do wrong things. And then I go, okay, no wonder the position of teacher in many societies is held in great regard, because you need to have patience, you need to have fortitude, you need to have integrity, you need to care and have empathy for each and every one of your students. So I embraced it. I picked that up, and I love teaching Silat. And I taught Silat to people younger than me. I taught Silat to people older than me. Sometimes the oldest student I've had was 80 years old.
Wow.
And the oldest VLC we've had is also 80 years old.
Oh,
Therefore, so I learned very quickly that you need to be able to adapt to all sorts of people. And I'm preaching to the choir here because everyone here knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I came into proper corporate training in about 2001, 2002. I graduated from university in 2001, and I had the opportunity to run a training for Shell in Cyberjaya. But guess what? I was also teaching Silat at the time. Shell had called myself and my boss at the time, who was also my Silat teacher. So we went there to teach Silat exercises in conjunction with their SHE week. No, Shell calls it HSSE. What does H stand for? Health, Safety,
Health.
Security, and Environment.
environment.
Yeah. So other industries call it SHE or HSE, Safety, Health, and Environment. Shell calls it HSSE, Health, Safety, Security, and Environment Week. So that got me interested because I'm like, hey, I am this little young kuchi brat teaching corporate people Silat, teaching Silat exercises for them to be able to sit well in their offices. So basically ergonomics from a traditional point of view. And I fell in love. I fell in love with training. And from then onwards, I always tried to find my way into training. Now, you look at me now, you don't believe it. Okay, so keep your laughter in, keep your laughter in. But 2004 onwards, I was a aerobics instructor. I taught fitness, and I joined a wellness company, and that company's client was Petronas. So we ran wellness courses backwards and forwards, top bottom, for all Petronas subsidiaries until we had no more business left with them. Done. That was it. Right. So we did such a good job. They didn't need us anymore. So we had to redesign programs, do something else. So from 2004 to 2006, that's what we did. I was thankfully I wasn't married yet, but what happened was we were traveling around Malaysia. I was living in hotels, mostly in Paker, Terengganu, Kerteh, Kuantan, Kedah. So these areas, but mostly, thank goodness, places that had beaches. So I really enjoyed myself then, but it also got me to interact with corporate people, be able to work with them, understand how they think. And then 2006, I was invited to be a knowledge management trainer, a big departure from wellness, but they got me in because of my communication degree and because I was a journalist. I was a journalist for 7 years. And so I put together the training aspect, the communication aspect, and the writing aspect. And I became a knowledge management trainer where I taught people how to create process maps. I taught people how to write SOPs, how to write manuals, stuff like that. And that was also amazing because the biggest client was also Petronas. So imagine me going back to the client and the client says, I recognize you. Where have I seen you before? And I go, I used to teach aerobics. And they go, how did you come to this? So that was not the last time. Many times in the future, I also got back to them and they say, you again, what are you teaching now? So some Petronas guys know me from way back then. And it was only in 2008 that I was invited to, I like to use the word headhunted because it makes me feel better. But the fact is they invited me to join this company called Accenture. And Accenture is this huge, gigantic MNC, multinational corporation with 500,000 staff. That's 500,000 people. So with 500,000 people, it was my first time joining a gigantic corporation, which means that I had to learn how to be able to interact with many different types of people. So I got to travel. My first time. This is, you must understand, Nazrin has not traveled further than Singapore in his life. And then suddenly with Accenture, I was like jumped to the United States, went to India, went to Philippines, I went to Australia. So it was a time of my life. But it was there that I learned how to be able to actually teach not just different ages, totally different types of people. Totally different types of people. How do you teach different cultures? How do you interact with many different mindsets? So, as I was mentioning in class 1, that gave me a bit of an ego lah. I was a big fish in a small pond, and due to work-life balance considerations, I left in 2015, and I started out my own freelance training as myself. And I engaged training providers, and here I am 6 years later. So I've only been in the market for 6 years. So some of you might be wondering, why the heck am I attending a class with Nazrin when in fact Nazrin has only 6 years experience? Well, here's the thing. Accenture gave me quite a bit of an analytical brain. I did my due diligence 1 year before I left the organization. Because I wanted to go into a market which I had no idea what was going on, I did a lot of interviews. I found a list of training providers on the HRDF website. Now you don't find it anymore, it's not there. But I found a list of 4,352 training providers. Okay, that list you will get. Okay, that list you will get. And I emailed every single one of those training providers, 4,008 training providers. My Gmail account, the free Gmail account, can only send out 500 mails a day. So across a couple of weeks, I was just mailing, copy, paste. Hello, I'm interested to be your associate trainer. Just going backwards and forwards. So it's a numbers game sometimes. So if you're wondering, how come I cannot get jobs? Huh? How come Nazrin can get jobs? Well, the thing is, I email them every year. I send a follow-up email like, hi, I'm Nazrin. Just in case you remember me, this is what I'm doing this year. So around September every year, I would do another blast to mail out to all 4,000 plus training providers. By now, some of those training providers don't exist anymore. So I start canceling off, cleaning up the list as we go along. So the list that you'll get hopefully will be the most updated list. I have not sent out this year, so I don't know how many training providers have died. Yeah. Also, there've been a lot of new training providers in 2020, 21. I don't have those connections or those mails. Yeah. But the idea is this: 1 year before I left Accenture, I contacted all of them, and only, if I remember the number, about 300 out of 4,000 plus, only 300 replied. And out of those 300, I managed to sit down and makan, sit down and have coffee, have a phone call, have an email conversation, whatever, with about 150 of them. So as you can guess, it took a long time. How about 150 of them? And I asked the same questions. What is the market looking for? How do I differentiate myself in the market? How do I make sure that you can get the job for me? So they were teaching me. They were teaching me, this is how you write your profile. This is how you write your outline. This is how you do things like this. And I also asked the magic question of, what don't you like trainers to do? And they give me the answers. Oh, we don't like trainers who, you know, when we contact them, they don't reply. We ask trainers for outlines, they don't give us a yes or no. We don't like when we want to book a date, the trainer is booked on that date. So all of these complaints I took into account, and I decided, okay, this is how I'm going to prepare myself to get into the market. So it was a bit of a grind. The first year I left, 2015, I'd say 3 bulan tak makan lah. In the next year, 3 bulan tak makan. But the rest of the, what is that? 12 minus 3, is that 9? So the rest of the 9 bulan, alhamdulillah makan. It was a slow grind, but by about 2017, I was already full force. Every day, almost every day I had a course. I had to actually dial back because it was affecting my health. So now, instead, what I've done is I've raised my prices, and in 2021 now, I actually look forward to empty calendars. Okay, so you are my friends. You know I'm not bragging. Actually, I need my help. So when I say I'm looking forward to empty calendars, it's not to say that, wow, Nazrin, cukup, enough courses. No, it's actually starting to affect my mental health. So whenever I see it, August, after this, after BreakAway and after the next VLC, it's quite clear. So I'm looking forward to just some rest and relaxation. I told that to my wife. My wife said, "Yeah lah, tengok suddenly one training provider who will slot in like mid-August." Like, yeah, that's pretty much historically true as well. So that is my hope and prayer and target for you. I want you to be able to avoid the mistakes I made those first few years. I want you to be able to get the benefit of all the consultation I've done with clients, training providers, and other trainers. So I've compiled all of their best practices into this course and into the ebook. So the ebook, you don't have to finish reading right now. However, it does contain quite a lot of what I've learned from other people. And this course especially compresses it even more. All right. So that's for the benefit of Z, who did not see us on Monday, but also there are some things I've not revealed to you yet. So before we kick it off, what questions do you have so far? Please ask me now. All right. If you have no questions, you know what to do. Wow, everyone brainwashed already right now. Okay, so let's jump into this. Remember what we did for class number 1? I asked you questions. Class number 2, I'm going to ask you questions as well. We're going to deep dive a bit more. Now, we are going to talk about your brand narrative. Somebody tell me, what is a narrative? And because there's so few people here, nobody type in the chat, please. Just turn on your microphone and share. What is a narrative? Just the word narrative.
Story.
What is it? It's a story. Good.
Sorry.
It's a story that who tells? It's a story that you tell. So the brand narrative is what other people say about you. What do you say about Starbucks? What do you say about McDonald's? What do you say about, I don't know, Maidin? What do you say about Tesco, who has now become Lotus? What do you say about the Prime Minister? What do you say about certain government departments? Everything that you talk about within your circle of friends, everything that's spoken about within the industry about a particular brand is the brand narrative. Okay, so what is a brand? There are many definitions, but I love this definition. A brand is what other people say about you. The final output is what other people say about you. It is not your logo, it is not your colors, not your slogan. Those are artifacts. Those are things that you create. But the final output should be what they eventually say about you. Okay, so here's one thing you want to take into account. You cannot control the brand narrative. It is almost impossible. If you could control it, then Malaysian government would do a fantastic job. They just pay a PR company to do it. It's not possible to control a brand narrative. But what you can do is you can influence the narrative before somebody else hijacks it. So the thing is, if you don't tell your story, other people will tell it for you. Okay? So remember class 1, we asked you, how do your clients, or how does the public know about what you do and what you have, what your values are. You have to share those values. You don't share those values, other people will make stuff up about you. Can we agree on this? Can we agree that if you don't take control of your narrative from the beginning, other people will say things about you? So here's an example. I don't want you to make this mistake. Yeah. When I mailed out to training providers, I sent them everything. Remember, I told you that Nazrin has 28 workshops. You remember that? So I became known in the market as the guy who can do everything. So when training providers, when the clients ask for a communication course, they don't think of me first. They think of a communication specialist. So it was difficult for me to get jobs because I was everything. Wow, Nazrin does everything, therefore everything must not be good. Okay, so how did I work around that? I discovered that because I heard it back from some people. One of my teachers actually told me, his name is Timothy Law. Timothy Law heard it from another training provider. His name is Mio Chokan. And Tim said, wow, you're very well known. People are talking about you. And I go, what are they saying about me? And then he drops the bomb. He says, well, they say that Nazrin, every time he mails out the training providers, he'll mail them everything. I can do everything. So it made me sound desperate. It made me sound, I'm sharing my heart and soul here. It made me sound desperate. And worse, the branding from the other side, from training providers, is that Nola, find a specialist to do. Nazrin does everything. But that's not the case. I do only one thing. I do communication. So communication from the perspective of how I do it is I label them as thinking skills, performing skills, connecting skills, and leading skills. But the foundation is still in communication. So what I had to do was I had to actually put that out. I reintroduced myself to training provider and say, okay, these are communication skills applied in these 4 areas. So thinking is interpersonal communication, you and yourself. Performing is intrapersonal communication, you and what you do, your activities, your work. Connecting is interpersonal communication, you and another person. Leading is extra-personal communication, you and a lot of people. If interpersonal is you trying to move one person, to influence one person, extra-personal is you trying to move a lot of people. So I called it, back then it was a mouthful, it was called workforce performance skills. That's a lot of words there. Workforce performance skills. And Gina is here, evidence, she knows what it is because that's what I used to call it. But I have rebranded it to become professional work skills, and the market loves it better. It's easier to understand, professional work skills. So once I reintroduced that as an umbrella, it was easier for TPs to sell me. So here's the thing. Today, within BreakAway, we want you to be able to set your brand narrative before you send it out, so that by the time you get to training providers and clients, it looks like you already have a solid brand. Okay, so what we're talking about, we say that your brand story is read by your audience from what you say and what you do. They want to understand how you do it and why you do it. So remember class 1, we talked about how, your methodology, and why, your values. These 2 things nobody can see. So what? They look at everything you do, they look at everything you say to try and figure out what are those values, what are those methodologies. Don't hide, tell them up front. Okay, so far, what questions do you have? Are we cool? Okay, scary yet? No? Okay. So if no one tells your story, not just someone else will, your audience will make one up just to make sense of it. Yeah, and that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. So once upon a time, Nazrin used to be known as the Silat guy. And that was a bit of a barrier because nobody took me seriously when I wanted to teach leadership skills and stuff like that. So you want to be able to get control that. And then the story, which is what you say, what you tell, and the storyteller, which is you, must be aligned. That's why I say I give you a choice. On Monday, I give you a choice. You can create your brand or you can discover your brand. If you create your brand, then you have to act according to that brand 24/7, 365 until somebody notices and posts on social media and proves that you are not on brand. You're not behaving according to what you promised. The other way is to discover your brand. So ask yourself, what are you? Who are you? And you share that. And as a result, You have my teacher, Muhammad Rizal Hassan, who refuses to wear suits. He will he will wear a sweater from Uniqlo. No, wait, H&M. He will wear a sweater from H&M and jeans and flip-flops to class. Yeah, some people are going, God, no. Well, he does that. And any client who doesn't like that, he says bye-bye to. But he has a lot of clients who love him, who love his casual attire. And he also insists to the participants come in casual attire. Why? Because he studies, he's an NLP master. He says it's easier to get into their heads when they are in casual mode. So I go casual first and I request they come casual. And in the beginning, his clients are like, what? But then after they see the impact, he has never lost a client as far as I know. They keep coming back to him. So I'm like, must be working. So what I did was, I decided, okay, I am going to wear the baju Melayu only for several reasons. Number one is I like to eat a lot and I grow in size. My size is different from day to day basis, but the baju Melayu is very forgiving. So I took a gamble. And when I went to client meetings, you can see the client look me up and down. They can see like, what are we getting? Some sort of ustad or something like that. And I said to them, well, I do a lot of hand energizers in class. I do a lot of physical work, and I actually show people how to do things from a silat perspective. And they go, oh really? Show us. So I roll up my sleeves on the spot in the client meeting, and they see, I see, that makes sense. Okay, so what happens is the barrier falls away. Have I ever had a client who turned me down because I refused to change my dress? Yes. Have I never worn a suit? No, I have. Because why? When you're working with a training provider, it's their client, it's not your client. Okay, so if you're on the training provider's team, then it's only fair that you wear their baju. So I have worn a suit before. I have worn t-shirt for team building programs. I've worn a collar t-shirt with their logo on it. No problem. But when I can, when I'm allowed to, about 95% of the time, well, more than 95, about 98, 99%, I will wear the baju Melayu. And why? I have a collection. I've had a collection from every Hari Raya we've ever had. So that has helped seal in the brand. At the same time, I have a good friend from Dubai who says to me, Nazrin, you need to leverage this a bit more. So if you follow my social media, before COVID, quite a lot of you know me about after COVID. But pre-COVID, whenever we finish a course, we would take a photo. Now, this is what normal trainers do, taking photos. They will do this, and they put it on their belly, and then they sit down, and everybody will do the same and smile. And they'll take that photo. Okay? What I do, because of my friend who's a business consultant in Dubai, he says, Nazrin, you got to switch it up. You look exactly the same as all other trainers. And I go, what do I do? Well, you're already wearing the baju Melayu, and you love silat. So he says, do a silat pose lah. I say, you sure? Sure. So all of my ending photos will be silat poses. Full body, of course. Yeah. And what happens is, amazingly, the participants love it. They also join in, Kelly. So when they look at those photos, when clients look at those photos, when people look at those photos on social media, they go, wow, Nazrin's course must be fun. But what's the fact? The fact is that the course is kind of difficult sometimes. So when you have, what's the word? When you have problem solving, it's always like that. Kan? So, so his name is Imran. My friend's name is Imran from Dubai. Because I asked him to look through and give me suggestions, he went to my Facebook page where I post all the pictures from programs. And he said, okay, Nazrin, I got 3 suggestions for you. And I said, what? He says, number 1, you have too many photos. I take like about 300 photos for every course I run. And then I just dump on Facebook. And he says, 30 is enough. Because why? When a client is going through those photos, they get bored because some of the photos look the same. So he says, take only or put up only relevant photos. And I go, what's a relevant photo? He says, look at this one, contoh. A lot of my participants are ladies pakai tudung. So when I take photos and they're huddled over a table doing some sort of problem solving activity, all you see is multicolored tudungs huddled together. You don't see face, nothing at all. So he said, take photos of people who are smiling. So I got into the habit of going to table and say, okay, pause for a second for photo, and everybody would get up. Okay, some of them would like point to their flip chart paper and stuff like that, and we would take that photo. So you would always have photo of happy people. Number two, he said, please delete all photos of people who are frowning. So you have someone working on the flip chart like that. Leave only the smiling and the happy and the laughing photos. And I go, are you sure? He says, trust me. So I deleted everything except for the happy photos. What happened? Client perception increased. I asked some clients, why did you call me? They said, well, we went to your company Facebook page, and we saw the photos, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I go, yeah, you should have seen the ones I deleted. Okay, so he gave me 3 pieces of advice, which I've stuck to. Number one is I've reduced the number of photos to 30 and below. Number two is I deleted all photos of people not smiling, or I took photos, or I made sure that I took photos of them posing. And the third one is the final photos will be us all posing together to prove that they had a lot of fun, that they enjoyed the course. All right. So take control of your narrative before somebody else does. So what questions do you have so far? All good? The story and the storyteller must be aligned. Show yourself. Be different. There are people out there, every trainer out there, or many trainers out there, will be in a suit and tie. Every trainer out there will be in a suit and tie. So you need to, in order to be remembered, you must be different. Okay. Oh, by the way, Rizal, if you know this name, Muhammad Rizal Hassan, now he wears sweaters from Uniqlo. But before this, does anybody know what he used to wear?
What do you call that?
I know.
What was that?
I know. The
Kung Fu master would wear that.
Oh yes, he always wore the baju kung fu, which is what's it? Is it a samfu or whatever it's called? But the male version, Yep. He has 83. Last I checked, he had 83 of those baju. I got only one, which I bought from the thrift store, Salvation Army in Ipoh. But mine is cantik. Mine is black and gold. I only have one. He's got 83. And he wears it all the time until I think a couple of years ago, he decided to switch up. He says, I'm going to die. Let me wear whatever I want. Literally, that is what he said. And he started wearing these H&M and jean stuff, just so he wanted to switch to a Steve Jobs version. Okay. So just that example and the Nazrin example hopefully proves to you that you can still get work. You can still get jobs by being different. So dress up, dress down, dress sideways. Just don't dress leke lah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, make it look good lah. Okay. So that brand narrative starts now. I'm going to ask you a question. I'll give you my sample answer, but I want you verbally. There's very few people in the room. I want you verbally to share with us what your answer will be. Okay. So we've covered step 1 and step 2 in class 1. Let's go step 3. How do we tell our story? Question 1. What story do you want your audience to tell about you? Let me repeat. What story do you want your audience to tell about you? Please write that question down. Now, what am I looking for? What answer am I looking for? I'm looking for something like this. I want people to say that Nazrin is easy to work with. He is flexible. He is versatile. If there's a problem, we can talk to him. We never worry about him turning us down. He's always open for discussion. I want people to say I'm generous, I'm adaptable, I'm respectful, and that still I'm passionate about what I do. So for those who know me, have I been able to live up to this so far?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a couple of things here, and I'm very careful to thread this very carefully. There's a couple of things here. Number one is, where did I get this from? I got this from a book. It's a very, very unknown book. Tak ramai orang kenal buku ni. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Never heard of that book.
Never heard of that book. Never heard of that book. Okay, if you've never heard of that book, then you will have never heard of the first habit. What is the first habit that you've never heard of?
Start with the N in mind.
Yeah.
Begin with the end in mind. And the story, the late Dr. Stephen Covey. Dr. Stephen Covey was somebody we loved at Accenture because Franklin Covey did a lot of training work for us. And I didn't get to meet him, but I got to meet a couple of his proteges. And when he passed away, I was in class and I got the news. And everywhere around the training centers, we held a 1 minute moment of silence for him to remember him. He died falling off his bicycle. He was in a coma for several weeks and then eventually passed away in his coma. Yeah. So I'm still sad when I think of it. Some people might go, why, Nazrin, why are you so sad? He's the author of that book. Yes, but you must remember that Accenture people were very close to him because a lot of us attended his training and attended his students' training. His facilitators came to Malaysia, went to America, went to all training centers. So we were sort of like his chuchu lah. We were like his grand students. So I still feel sad because the book made an impact on my life. One of the things in the book, especially at the beginning, it said, imagine you are at your own funeral and you're listening to what people are saying about you. And that made such a huge impact. I'm like, what are people saying about me at my funeral? So I've turned that into this question. What do you want people to say about you as a result of them having worked with you? Now, you don't have to copy Nazrin punya. You can certainly go, I want people to remember me as someone who was firm. Okay, I stick to my guns. I don't take no for an answer. And I'm always willing to be able to help. So it's you. Don't pretend to be anybody else. This is Nazrin. This is me. I am not firm. I prefer to be adaptable, flexible, but there's nothing wrong with being firm. It's just, this is me. So the question to you is, what is your answer? What story do you want your audience to tell about you? So I purposely talked a lot to give you time to think and write. Who would like to start first?
I can start.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I want my audience to know that I'm flexible, I'm approachable, caring and genuine, and professional when it comes to work, engaging and committed.
Thank you very much. So everything there makes sense to me, except for the word professional. You might want to specify what you mean by professional. Is it I deliver what I promise, or I'm always on time? So the word professional can be a bit vague. Yeah, it's vague. It's vague to remember. It's a story you're telling, right?
Yeah,
is what you want people to say about you. So maybe find another word for that one, or break it down into 2 or 3 different elements.
Okay, so it's mostly about the commitment and the attitude, the professional attitude.
Okay.
When working with people.
Can I guess? May I guess?
Yes.
Maybe it means as long as your client, as long as you don't deliver your best, you will keep delivering until your client is satisfied. Is that what it means? That commitment?
My commitment is mostly about that, basically trying to deliver the best and basically delivering whatever I promise to deliver.
So between the two, which is the stronger meaning for you? Delivering what you promised or delivering the best?
Delivering the best.
Delivering the best, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have that as part of your story. Thank you. Okay,
Thank
next.
you.
Who else would like to volunteer?
I'll give a go.
Okay.
Right. So I'm different in front of the screen, but when I'm in front of my participants, I want them to remember me as someone who is very energetic, approachable, and introduce practical concepts in their learning.
Okay. Question, is that your real self?
Yes.
Are you comfortable being like that 24/7?
Well, I am that, because probably I'm skinny, I've got a lot of energy,
No.
I'm very animated.
You want a lot of energy. You see this one. Here. I keep energy. Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
Next, who would like to volunteer? Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll
silakan.
go. Okay. Okay, Nazreen, I have 4 words, but I need your help with the 2 of them. Okay, the first 2, generous and committed. I think I can clear that, right? Generous means I give away anything they ask for. Committed means I will deliver whatever I have promised, and even above what I promised.
Okay, so you want to go above people say when they work with Dr. Khairul, they always see that he delivers more than he promised.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. The other 2, quality. I mean, I deliver quality stuff. I don't do like lebih kurang punya kerja kan. I really do the stuff. And the other one is I really deliver. I promise I'll deliver. I will give it to you.
Okay.
I promise. So the last 2, I'm not sure. Is it the right word to use? Quality and delivery. Deliver.
I see nothing wrong with it. At least from my perspective, I see nothing wrong with it. So, of course, like the word professional just now with Sabreen Gan, quality is also subjective. So maybe you can quantify it a little bit more. Okay. What does quality mean?
Quality means the highest standard.
Okay.
So if I deliver something on, financial management, I won't go to the idiot's guide to financial management. I'll go to the serious textbook and refer to it and deliver.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Next. 5, 4. No try. 2 or do not.
I will do. Okay, so Mel is easy to talk to, empathetic, generous in her sharing of information, and helpful in ensuring everyone understands her teaching or whatever lah.
Okay, Mel, how does it feel? Tell me your feeling right now as you're reading that out to everyone here.
How I feel?
Yes, how you feel?
Well, I feel good to share that. That is actually how. Well, I hope you know me.
Okay.
Anika knows me. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm your friend, and we have a relationship outside of this. But will you allow me to be blunt?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you actually believe what you just said?
Yes.
That doesn't sound that way. Do you
Do
really believe? No. Do you believe what you just said? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Can you deliver that again so that we believe it? We want to hear that tone of voice.
How come you never ask these questions with the others?
Oh, because they were wham like you had like I will try, and then I'm not sure if this is okay or not.
Okay.
So let's practice here. Let's help you out here.
So Mel is easy to talk to.
Okay.
Empathetic, generous in her sharing of information, and very helpful when people. Ayat the habis lagi. Helpful. Can I just stop there?
Can. Okay. So okay, guys, this is not for Mel. This is for everyone. So don't think like, well, because Mel and I are friends, so I can go a bit extra mile with her. Mel, do you notice that when you share that, you're actually shaking your head a little bit? It's going left and right.
Okay. So it's like a negative connotation lah.
No. Macam ni, you believe it. You believe it. No problem. From the outside, us watching you, it's sending mixed signals.
Okay.
So that's why I asked you. I know you believe it. Because I've met you, we've worked together. I know you, and I know you embody this. Now, to avoid people misreading those signals, be careful of doing, shaking your head. Do you want to try again, or do you want to try again? It's not a weakness. No, it's not a weakness. It's just people who don't know you. Nazreen knows you, so I know you're saying what you're saying from the heart. Now we want to be able. Ala, you're hotelier. You know what I'm talking about, kan? We need to be able to send crisp messages. Do you want to try again now or come around later?
Later lah.
Okay, later lah.
boleh.
Okay, next.
I can do it now.
Oh, you'll do it now. Okay, silakan.
I'll do it now. Okay, Mel is easy to talk to.
Okay.
It's helpful.
Yes.
It's generous.
Careful. There was a bit of a.
Because my kepala, my body language is a bit,
I know.
My body, that's the challenge.
She married an Indian lah. That's why.
Okay. Mel is easy to talk to. She's empathetic. She's helpful, and she's generous.
Okay.
That's the genuine one.
That's a genuine one. Well done.
Yes, well
Thank
done.
you.
That's the one.
More energy.
Okay, next.
Aw, that's
Okay, since I'm talking so much, I finish it. Okay, Anita, is genuine, casual, realistic, and easy to talk to.
Okay. Say that again. Genuine.
Anita is genuine, casual, realistic, and easy to talk to.
Okay. I like the word genuine. It's been used a couple of times already. What does genuine mean here?
Sampoy.
That sounds casual. So I might have misread it. Did anyone else? Did anyone else read genuine as sempoy? Sorry, Sabrine. Sorry. But sempoy translates to casual or relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very relaxed.
Cool.
Very
Okay.
Okay. So
not
when
cool, laid back, you know?
Laid back.
Lepak lah, lepak.
Yeah, lepak.
so if you want to tell your story, you want to use words that are clearer. Genuine is, I think, authentic. Like, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So choose which one is it actually? Is it authenticity? Is it laid backness? The laid back
No,
kind?
I didn't want to use laid back in that sense. I
Okay.
thought casual would be a little bit more
Okay. No,
yeah.
well,
authentic.
this is an ongoing process. It doesn't end tonight.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Next.
One by one ke?
One by one.
Can I try?
Yes, you can. You may.
Thank you. I'm enthusiastic and determined in whatever I do.
Mhm.
I'm also a good listener, helpful, amiable,
Okay.
and empathetic.
I like that. So this is what your clients, your training providers, and your participants say about you. This is what you want them to say about you.
Yes.
Okay. Is this something that you pull from inside you, or is it something you say, I want to aspire to this? Which is it?
It's basically it's me. It's in me.
Okay. You
It's in
all
me.
right?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm
Well-
I'm going to do more as I become, as I train, I facilitate. I want to do
Mhm.
more for my audience.
Okay,
That's
thank
what I
you.
want to do.
And because I do know you, so I know that's true as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next. People are stressing out now. They say, why did I volunteer first? Huh? Come. We are in a safe environment, guys. We are all friends here. Come. Who else?
Okay, my turn.
Okay, Dina.
Come on, Gina.
It's not Gina's turn. Diana came first.
Oh, Diana.
Oh, dah habis. Senang aja mulut dia, Wati.
Okay, Diana, all yours.
Okay, Diana is truly passionate about her work. She is patient, giving, and will go the extra mile to ensure the satisfaction of her customers or clients or tourists. I'm a tourist guide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well done. Thank you very much. Anyone else? 5, 4,
Let me
3.
try lah.
Okay, silakan.
Okay.
Nasib baik datang. Kalau tidak pukul 11.30 datang.
Itulah pasal. Okay, alright. So Saiful is friendly, easy to work with, and with attention to details. So he is also a good listener and likes to share his experience and knowledge.
You are an engineer, right, Saiful?
No, auditor.
Auditor, okay. So that's where the attention to detail comes in. So a lot of your work is not training, is that correct? It's more auditing.
Yep. Currently is more, I think 80% is for auditing lah. This year, only 1 or 2 trainings.
All right, I understand. Thank you. Anyone else want to try? 5.
Yes.
Okay, Coach. Silakan. Nice to see you, Coach. Because I just realized that both Z and Coach, this is their first time in with us.
Yes. Okay. All right. Bahir is easy to work, passionate and giving all his have during delivering any module.
All his health.
All his have. Apa yang dia ada.
All he has. Okay, dapat. Maksudnya you give away everything you have.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to try that again? Because we didn't spotlight you today.
Oh, kena spotlight.
Now we see you. Now we see you.
All right. Bahir is easy to work, passionate, and giving all his has during conducting any training.
Okay, so this is what you want clients to say about you. Question:
Yes.
Has clients already said this about you?
My associate trainers, yes,
Ada
they
ya?
said easy to work and they love to see me on stage lah when delivering any modules.
Okay, good. So thank you very much for that. Now, guys, if you notice, some of these questions I ask you can be quite excruciating because it puts you face to face with your own shame, shyness, and so it feels so awful talking about myself. Unfortunately, as a professional, you need to be able to share yourself. We're not boasting, we're not bragging. We're telling that this is who we are. So we have to get very, very used to that, right? And hopefully I get you ready by the time class 6 is around. Thank you, coach. Anyone else want to try before we move on?
Me.
Okay, Hari, come.
Hey, hi, Harry.
Hi, I just joined at 9 o'clock, so and I pick up things from what I observed just now.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to see the slide?
I think okay. I already write down already.
You have the question, huh?
I already have the question.
Okay.
I managed to write down the question. Okay. So Hari is professional, delivered high quality services and training.
Okay. So that's mostly what you do. What do you want people to say about you? So let me share the slide. This is sharing your story. What do you want people to say about you? What story do they talk about? What do training providers say to each other? Hey, Hari, do you know this Hari Krishna? I took him for a program. Another training provider says, yeah, hey, when I took him, I took very good, this guy. Yeah, very patient. You tapa. You charge low also can. He will so you don't want people to say, oh, he charged cheap. Okay, so what story you can actually put in? Nazrin is expensive.
Okay.
Right. So Hari, do you want time to think about it, or are you able to already answer within this particular framework?
I think I need to think about it.
Okay. So this is about telling your story. What do you want people to say about you?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Anyone else?
I can.
Who's that?
I can. Gina here.
Oh, Gina. Sorry. It's so weird. Huh? I heard your voice, but your mouth wasn't moving. When peliknya. I think there's a internet lag on my side. Okay, silakan.
Okay, Gina is helpful, knowledgeable, articulate, and confident.
Good. Is there anything? Okay, knowledgeable. Can you break down knowledgeable a little bit? What do you mean by knowledgeable?
I don't know. It's somebody who says that I know a lot.
Okay. Tak apa. Because at least you got that feedback. Okay. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to break down knowledgeable. I don't know.
Tak apa.
But anyway, in comparison to many trainers, I'm not that knowledgeable.
Okay. In comparison to other trainers, we are all different in other things. So right now, focus on what you do have. So knowledgeable in what?
You got me there. I don't know how to.
So think about that for now. And for those of you who are still struggling with this, like I'm knowledgeable, tapi I'm not knowledgeable, macam mana ni? Let me share with you how I overcame that. Who has a problem with the word expert, calling themselves expert? Put your hand up. Who has a problem with that? You tergigit lidah to call yourself an expert. You want to write the word expert down, so menggigil tangan kan? Okay. So there's a few other ways you can describe yourself. You can call yourself a specialist. You can say, I focus on communication. My focus is communication. Or my passion is communication. Which means that it's a workaround. It preserves your heart. At the same time, it gets the message across. Okay, I specialize in, my passion is in, or my focus is. There are many other words you can use. I prefer these three. So far, I've used these with success. Because then, if you say expert, you have to defend it, though.
Yeah.
Macam mana
That's
expert?
very helpful.
Yeah. Unless you have a PhD. Even with a PhD, you cannot call yourself an expert. You can say expert in your thesis saja lah.
True.
All right. There's another one. I don't know if you want to use it. Lover. I am a lover of communication. But it sounds horrible in English. It sounds better when I write in my profile in Malay. Saya pencinta silat Melayu.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It sounds better again. But if I
Yeah.
say I'm a lover of communication, it sounds horrible. Okay, so these 3 words, I can suggest these 3 words. Go and find whatever one that works for you. That you know, less controversial. Thank you very much. Let's go to question number 2.
Question.
Sorry.
Nazrin, okay, just since you that, what would be the best way to translate senang ajak runding into one English word?
Negotiable.
Negotiable.
How to put that in a? She's negotiable?
No, sorry. She's easy to.
Flexible, I guess. It's
Flexible,
mostly flexible,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, oh, okay, flexible.
Flexible is okay.
Yeah, that's good. Wow, Zafin, not bad. I'm
Cut me
person
off
who don't
that
speak Malay is the one who.
Wait, who?
Because I use this one as well.
Senang ajak runding. Okay.
Senang ajak runding is so formal. I prefer the boleh bawa bincang.
No, I had one training, one client who used senang ajak runding in feedback. For me.
Okay, that's good. And that's good feedback. That's good feedback. Okay, somebody had a question?
Nazrin, I've got a question to ask. Well, when we tell our story, do we, for example, let's say if we have got years of experience, we include that as well. Would that be good? Because, from years to years, I mean, the years will change. I'm trying to understand whether...
Do you want the answer now or we cover it in the next class? Because I cover that specifically there.
Sure, next class then.
Okay, boleh. Okay,
Boleh.
but because now what you've done is now everybody is curious. What you have done, everybody is curious. So in terms of years, it used to work, and Dr. K confirmed for me, it used to work in the early 2000s and the 2010s. Now, when clients hear years, 20 years, 25 years, it doesn't ring anything anymore. You got 30 years of experience. They're like, yeah. So now they're more, because every trainer has years. Now they're looking at years in what specifically. Dr. K, have you encountered this before? Where clients go like, yeah, years, fine. Years in what?
It also means that your methodology could be so old.
Yeah.
You have not updated yourself.
Correct. Also correct.
But
so from in the industry right now, what we're reporting to you is that, betul, years on a resume looks good, but the industry become quite cynical. They want to know years in what. You say years, what were you doing in those years? So as a summary, boleh, but quickly move on to explain in what, years in what. Yeah. Okay. So we'll cover that deeper in next class.
Okay, Nazrin.
Okay. All right. Next question. This is a bit of an yes. Go ahead.
Story tu lagi banyak, lagi bagus ke ataupun macam mana?
Oh, hari ini kita bukan cerita pasal that kind of story.
No, I mean this one lah. The exercise that we do just now, we did just now. So
berapa panjang kot?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. It's not a story in the sense of at the start, at the ending. The story you're telling is through your actions, through your website, through your writing. That's the story. It is not a jalan cerita. So the answers to these questions will form the core messaging. So if for example, when I write on Facebook, when I write, when you read my writing, when you read my writing, I want you to be able to see the passion there. I want you to be able to see that I'm respectful of my readers, of the people I quote, of people of situations I talk about. I want you to see that I'm adaptable and generous. So this is not the story. This is the essence of the story that you're going to include in every TikTok video that you make, in every profile that you write, in every way you pose for photos. So when we say story, we're talking about the narrative total. Bukan pada what's the word? Once upon a time and then the end. Not that kind of story. It's a narrative. I know it makes no sense right now. allow me to finish the questions first, and then it'll make more sense. Boleh?
Okay.
Okay. So, question number 2. What imagery will you use to tell your story to others? Now, this will be easier. Nazrin uses these kinds of imagery. I love the color blue. And I remember clearly when I fell in love with blue, it was 1994. No, sorry, 1995, about September 1995, when I joined the university, the International Islamic University, and I studied my second silat. My first silat I studied when I was 8 years old. Second silat I studied when I was 17 years old. It was silat Cekak Hanafi, and their uniform was dark blue. Before then, my favorite color was green. And I used to wear green all the time. When I started learning this silat, I fell in love with blue because the founder of the silat explained that blue is beautiful and it represents trust. It represents quiet strength. Yeah, not the overt strength of orange, the harimau of orange, but the calm strength of blue. And I fell in love with that. I fell in love with that story, the way it was explained. And ever since then, blue has been my favorite color. So I'll use different shades of blue, different hues of blue, different tones of blue in my branding. So what imagery will you use? Number 1. Number 2, I also use multicolors for diversity, because when I was at Accenture, I was exposed to so many different types of people. And I think I've told the story many times before. That was the first time I got to work with Israelis. I got to work, my colleagues were transgender saja tak dapat work with, but I had friends who were lesbians, gays. It was interesting because of the conversations we had. Buat kerja, we were working, but the ability to interact and understand and go, okay, I might not agree with some things, but I shall respect you as a human being. And that's where I started becoming interested in diversity. Plus, I'm very big on personality types and psychometrics. So one of my favorite topics I'm taking Master of Psychology right now. One of my favorite topics is psychometrics, is understanding how people are different. So if you look at the logo, my company logo, I use actually multicolored. I use 4 colors to represent diversity. And thanks to Imran, thanks to Imran's idea of taking crazy photos at the end to differentiate myself from other trainers, I will do my best on every media that I put out there. You will see participants just going wild. And it just so happens, this is the wildest photo I have so far, because we had a lot of people in the room. Okay, so my question for you is, very quickly, tell us in the chat. I'll give you about 5 minutes or 3 minutes to tell us in the chat, what imagery will you use to tell the story? What is the answer I'm expecting? I'm expecting maybe a color, maybe what type of photos, or what type of, graphics. For example, one of our friends, her name is Annie. She's a VLC, Annie Yahaya. She loves green. So every time she publishes on social media, she will go to Canva and she will pick a certain hue of green, which is the same, exactly the same. And she archives all the pictures within that hue. She'll just publish that color again and again and again. A notebook that's green, a tree that's green, and it's always the exact same green. So much so that when you scroll on LinkedIn, you don't even need to see her name. You know that's her posting. So this is the kind of answer I'm expecting. So I'm going to give you about a couple of minutes of silence. Tell us in the chat, what imagery will you use to tell your story to others? Either on social media, in your press release, in your logo, in your, I don't know, on your what you wear to class, your workbooks, what color do you print, things like that. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes.
What we intend to use or what we are using now?
What you intend to use or what you're using now, pun boleh. Okay, let's see what we have. So Z says, I already have a color, background color on my website, which is orange, to represent my skinny energy and passion in teaching English. Creative thinking is my problem or imagination. No, I think critical thinking is your strength. not creative thinking is your problem. Okay, Anita says a big strong tree symbolizing strength and being in nature. I like that. Okay, anyone else? What imagery? So when I say imagery, that means what I can see. Is it a color? Is it a logo? So Anita, if you just keep posting on social media all sorts of trees, kan, macam-macam jenis pokok, your quotation marks are always next to a tree or something. Whenever I scroll past your Facebook, I will know it's you.
Ah, that means post there.
It is consistently, I tahu it's you. Apple green, the color of growth. Okay. Friends tell me that whenever they scroll Facebook kan, tiba-tiba nampak orang tengah bergambar, tengah bersilat kan, they think, oh ni Nazrin punya training ni. And they say, betul. They see a lot of people suddenly ada Ultraman lah, ada apa semua, posing, training posing, they know, okay ni Nazrin punya. Nice, nice. What's coming? Okay, Dr. Khairul kata bluish. Mel says, what does Mel have? Vibrant colors, photos. Baboons.
Balloon.
Oh, balloon. Sorry.
Baboons.
I was so looking forward to your social media posting like with a baboon tengah korek hidung, and then you have a quotation there.
I'll do that tonight.
Photos of people laughing and smiling. Okay, Sabrina says multicolor, fun and energy. Okay. Wati says purple, which defines love in what I'm doing, ambitious and creativity. I like that. I like that. Okay, Gina says no worries, Gina. Coach Bahir memang red. I see that all the time already. So you have that down, settled already. Diana says varied pastel colors to represent the versatility and diversity of people, and also images of happy faces of students and guests. Thank you very much. Diana, if you did not know, we have a couple of hoteliers in here. So you guys are in the same industry, serving from different angles. Diana is a tourist guide. And both of us serve the. Well, I serve tourist guides. I don't serve tourists. I train tourist guides. Okay, so it looks like everyone has the answer. Let's go to question number 3. And question number 3 is, give me the words, the specific words that when people see you use this word, they know it's you. Whenever you use this in your social media, they know it is you. For example, what is the one word that Muhammad Rizal Hassan is famous for? Can anybody? Bangau.
but if I'm remembered for a word which is like slap your face.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Okay.
Yeah, all in my training, if my staff, they will know, oh, we are going for slap your face.
Gonna slap, face slap.
No, it's just I said, if they do anything wrong, I said, slap your face. In a very
So this comes out in whatever you write and whatever you say. So with training providers and clients, they often hear me say this. You often get training providers who come to you and say, "Alamak, Nazrin, the client is asking for this lah, pula semua kan." And then I go, okay, because I am adaptable, I'm easy to work with, I'm generous. I go, okay, how can we make this a win-win? If you force to reduce your price on your side, then I'm happy to reduce my price on my side, as long as we get the job. Okay, so I don't like it that I become the cause of you not being able to feed your family. Okay, you're helping me feed my family, I'm going to help you feed yours. And this is also something I say to a lot of training providers, and I dare say I have training providers who are some of my good friends now, because I acknowledge that we are earning together. Yeah, a lot of training providers have bungkus this last couple of years. I also say things like this: let's work together. Okay, so let's collaborate on this. I am very, very, I don't know where I picked this up from, because I don't remember growing up like this, but a training provider to me is a partner. A client to me is a partner. The moment they start treating me like a slave and they become the master, I will say thank you very much. Let's not continue this. I have actually left client meetings before when the client was betul-betul, what's the word, lording it over me, treating me like nobody. But the fact is, nothing was signed. We have not signed anything, and already we're making demands and stuff. So I actually got up and I said, thank you very much. I don't believe we can continue this. And I walked out. And you should have seen the client's face. That was amazing. But the caveat is this, kan? I didn't need the money. In the first few years, I was like, okay lah. But then after a while, I got the strength to go, nope, this is not what I signed up for. I'm not going to sit here and be treated like this. So I want to get you guys to a position where you can actually turn down a client because you want to maintain your values. And it's very difficult to maintain your values when you're poor. I'm telling you that right now. When you're earning for your family, sometimes you go like, okay lah, I will accept anything. But if at all possible, I want to get you, fast track you to be able to, so you never have to face a situation. Yeah. But in normal situations, Nazrin will go, okay, it looks like you are in a jam. Let's help. I'll help you out. So these are some of the things that, these are some of the things that you'll hear me say. And I don't know that has anybody heard this before with you when in my relationship with you. I don't know that I've done this with individual people, but I have done it with clients and training providers. So some feedback, please, anyone?
I think I've heard you say, if you're okay with it, so am I.
Okay, all right. So ada juga lah kat situ.
Yes. I think that's that if you're okay with it.
Okay. So this is mine. Now tell me, what is yours? So Mel kata, together we're better. I like that. Anita says, let's make this happen, or let's grow together. Okay, so these are not slogans. Mind you, these are not slogans I'm asking for.
No.
The actual words you say to clients. Saya kata, boleh bincang lah. Can discuss one.
I say that to my staff, my team.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Coach Baik, apa pun kita bagi jadi. I like that. Okay, we can do this. Let us collaborate.
Boleh bawa bincang.
Diana says, I give my best to your students. If they're happy, you are me. You and me will be happy too. Ari says, let's share the cake together. Our differences, our blessings. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I'm just to remind you, because some of these look pretty awesome. We're not looking for slogans. We're looking for actual words that you use with your clients, with your participants, with your training providers. Okay. And there's one more thing I keep saying. I think everyone knows by now. No problem. Cik Nazir, I won't be able to attend class. No problem. Recording available. Yeah, I love challenges, so let's work on it. All right. Thank you very much. So keep the answers to your 3 questions because that will form the basis of your story. Now, let's talk about visuals. What? Visualize your story. Okay, first thing I'm going to share with you is that there are 2 opinions on this planet about colors. Opinion number 1 is that colors are hardwired into our brain. When we are born, we psychologically react differently to colors. For example, when we see blue, we become very calm. When we see red, we become very angry. That's one opinion. Opinion number 2, and I've searched, trust me, I have searched to find it. There is no valid scientific reasoning that tells us that color affects our thinking. There's nothing substantial. Okay, so there's 2 opinions. You choose which opinion you want to go for. But what is true is that colors are cultural. If you grow up in a Chinese society where you are taught that red is prosperous versus growing up in another society where red represents evil, represents heat, represents fire, then you're going to be viewing it differently from a cultural perspective. For example, black is viewed differently by different cultures. Some people think black is death. Some people wear black every day, no problem. Okay, I have a lot of black t-shirts, but recently I've discovered I'm starting to like colors more. So there are 2 opinions. You choose. I'm not going to influence you. I'm telling you what I believe. I believe that colors are cultural, and that we, depending on where we are in the world, we can use those colors to represent certain things. Now, there's a third opinion. Because colors are cultural, we can actually program people to see our colors a specific way. I'm going to ask you a question. Give me a yes or no. And Sabrine, I think you can answer as well. Remember when you were in school and you had a school guidebook or guideline, or maybe you had an annual book at the end of every year? Inside that book, you would have at least one page that describes your school logo, what your school logo looks like. What do the colors mean? Oh, blue means bravery. But in another school, blue means trust. Tell me yes or no, whether you have seen such a document, what these colors mean. Okay, so even governments will have what colors of the flag mean, and it's never consistent. So if we can agree that colors are cultural and it's never consistent, which means doesn't matter what color you have lah. You can choose orange for your corporate color. I can choose blue for my corporate color, no problem. But what is the most important part is you can tell your story based on those colors. So here, one of the opinions is that, oh, orange means optimism, red means excitement, blue means trust, white means balance, calm, right? If that's true, and they say, oh, you cannot have more than one color, or you can have more than two colors in your logo as a rule, NBC, Google, Windows, and eBay, they break that rule. They break that rule backwards and forwards, and they're still very, very big organizations. So if we take all of this into account, what does it mean? It means that you must be able to tell your story from your colors. It doesn't even matter what the story is. As long as you can tell a story to your client, it makes sense to them. So choose one dominant color. So my dominant color is blue. Select complementary colors or hues to harmonize with those. And then most important one, create meaning for your brand and your logo. So I'm going to ask right now, please tell us in the chat, what is your color, what your chosen color is, and what does it mean? Anita terlalu laju. You only gave me the color. What is your chosen color and what does it mean? Tell us that story. And I would love to see 3 people choose green and tell us different stories. So Anita says, green for me means growth.
Yes.
Okay. Hari says, apple green means harmony, growth, and prosperity. Thank you. Okay. Wati says orange because it's sweet. No?
Liverpool. You never walk alone, mate.
Rifle says red, bravery, pride, and boy. Orange, passion, energy combined with blue. My tudung is always blue in posters to indicate they can depend, trust on me. Doctor says blue, dependable, purple, imaginative. Okay. So we were still waiting on, okay, pink, feminine and soft confidence. Blue, light pastel blue, calm and tranquil. Thank you. Anyone else? I think there was orange just now. Siapa pilih orange?
Wati.
It was Wati. We're waiting for your meaning. What does your orange mean? Very nice, very zesty. Pecah-pecah masuk mata. That always happens to me when that always happens to me when I peel an orange. I will always get some in my eyes. I don't know why. Sabrina says purple, energy and love. Okay. Okay, good. Please remember your answers. Please write down your answer somewhere next to the answer to those 3 questions. This will be the essence of your branding. Next, let's talk about my brand look. And again, I apologize. The course is about my case studies, so you have to kena me again and again. So what does my company stand for? The meaning of the logo is to synchronize 4 colors, 4 elements. And because when I left Accenture, I left with a certification in what we call social styles. If you've heard of DISC or MBTI or colored brain or things like that, these are typically 4-quadrant personality models. And I was certified in social style. I fell in love with social styles. So when I left Accenture, I just continued teaching it because it's the only certification I have anyway. So if you look at the colors, If you look very carefully, you will see 4 people holding hands. Tell me if you can see that, yes or no.
Yes.
Just realize it.
Right? You just realize, right? So there's 4 people holding hands, but each of them have a different social style. They have a different way of thinking. They are diverse. But the fact that they can work together in an informal setting, which is them holding hands, within a formal setting, which is the square, which is the turquoise square that sits outside, they can build relationships, informal relationships within a formal organization. And that is, they can synchronize with each other's way of thinking to be able to cooperate, collaborate, and work together. Now, I just told you a story. Those colors could have meant anything. Green could have meant growth. Blue could have meant tranquility. But what did I say? I said, no, they mean different for different people. They're holding hands and they're working within a formal organization. So what I've done is I've just programmed you with how I think of it, with how I view this this logo, these colors. So we have that, and we have the meaning of synchronize. You had a bit of a bonus in class 1, which I explained to you where it comes from. It comes from Silat. So the ability to synchronize within yourself, the ability to be able to do what you say, what you want, what you know. So that's inner personal. And then intrapersonal, to be able to synchronize you and your work, your discipline. Because if you've ever woken up one day and you go like, why do I keep sleeping late? Why cannot I lose weight? Why am I always procrastinating? Okay, that's intrapersonal. That's you and yourself. Okay, so synchronizing that so that you are always on time, you take care of yourself, you take care of your body, you know, pay attention to what's important. And then synchronizing with other people. Yeah, interpersonal, synchronizing with other people. And last but not least, synchronizing with the whole organization. Okay, so what have I just done? I have told you a story. And that story now, you see it the way I want you to see it. Doesn't even matter what the theory says about what color means what. Just like your school book with your school logo, it tells you how to perceive something. Do you understand what I just explained to you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is how you control your brand narrative. Don't allow other people to say, wow, your logo looks like Microsoft logo, which has happened several times. So before the client says anything, I will jam this into their heads first. Then, okay, they go, they don't even see the Microsoft logo after that. All right. So what is this about? It's about synchronizing all levels. The blue is quite dominant there. It's right on top and it's part of the turquoise. I put participants first, which means that if you look at my photos, you look at everything there, you don't even see Nazrin. Yeah, sometimes I'll be in front posing, but in this photo on the website, I'm actually right at the back. Yeah, nobody asked me where was Nazrin in that photo. I'm right at the back. Okay, I use this font called Century Gothic. The font on this page is the font I use because it's, well, some people say, oh, maybe because you're fat, Nazrin. Like, come on lah. I like it because it's open. Okay, it's one of those sans serif fonts that is the widest, which means that when I do this, I'm forced to not put a lot of words on my slides. I cannot put a lot of words because the font is so fat. But it also is friendly looking to me. It's not threatening. Okay, so there's no scientific what's the word? There's no scientific validation at all for that. It's just how I define it. When clients ask me, why you Century Gothic? I tell them this. I control the narrative, I control the story. Okay, question so far?
Nazrin, Mel,
Yep.
Does every brand needs to have a logo? Because sometimes kita nama tu saja dah logo. The name of the company is the logo, for example.
Boleh. Well, the logo is actually a visual representation. So when you have, whenever, like say, you need to represent it, you need to have something visual to see. If, for example, I'll give you an example. Like if you use wordings, when the logo is very, very small, you can't read the word. Okay, so where does the logo go? if you look at your Chrome browser, whenever you open up a website, sometimes at the top of the browser, the tab, there'll be a small logo. Has anybody noticed? Yeah, so sometimes there'll be a very small logo, and companies will put their logo there. So if your logo is wordings only, then it doesn't stand out very well. So the answer to your question is not necessary to have a logo, but having one is better in terms of being able to sit more places. And when I designed my logo, I looked at a few, well, being from publishing, I already had some guidelines, but I needed to upgrade myself. I discovered that the easiest logo to have was something that was symmetrical, top, bottom, left, right. So it would, if you put it into a space, it would fill up that space. If you put it into a rectangle, it would still sit well. If you put it into a square, it will be perfect. So this logo is perfect for WhatsApp groups. When you have a WhatsApp group, you put this logo there, it shows up nicely in the preview. That's why the VLC logo looks similar, because I wanted it to be able to sit in places, but I didn't want it to be square, so I turned it into a diamond. So a diamond, I want you to imagine you draw a circle around that. In a WhatsApp group, it becomes a circle, yeah?
Yep.
So now you have 4 spaces on either side that point towards the logo. If you can imagine that. It creates a frame around the logo, and it showcases the logo. So that was why I chose something that fills up a lot of space, but not a square. I wanted a diamond, so it goes north, south, east, west. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Nazrin, sometimes you see this, a lot of this, like NLP trainers, companies rather, they like to use black and gold, or some companies use that as well, right? What is your view on that?
I have no opinion.
Okay.
So so when I have no opinion, and I've actually not seen that. So I don't know. Do you want me to conjecture?
Yes. Okay, one example I can think of is like BAC, you know, the college. They use black and yellow, right? There are companies which, yeah.
Okay. So from a design perspective, yellow stands out from black. Okay, so from a design perspective, that's what I can see from my knowledge in publishing lah. It stands out. White stands out from black as well, but what happens is yellow is closer to gold, and gold, in the Western sense, gold is what is red to the Chinese. So it represents when you see the color gold and you think gold, it creates an image in your head. But unless they reinforce that with a story, then anybody can interpret, oh, ini banana. Anybody can interpret. Boleh, eh? So there are certain things you want to be aware of in terms of culture. That's why certain colors don't work well certain places. Certain names also don't work certain places. For example, I don't know why they did this, but they branded the kancil in certain countries as the Nippa, NIPPA. Don't ask me why. People were laughing backwards and forwards because it sounds like something else. They wanted to say that this small car can nip around different places. It was a disaster. Okay, so I have no strong opinions on black and gold, but if you want, I can find out from friends who are color experts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nazreen,
Yes.
I have a question. So if I'm a freelancer and I'm doing my own business, do I have to have a logo and a name? Because I'm not running a company. I'm not a training provider.
Yep.
So if I have a personal website, for example, is it necessary or is it recommended to have like a name for my website, or maybe, I don't know, like.
Okay.
Because
So
it's personal.
if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said no. I would have said, no, you don't need it. Your face is enough. Then as I grew, went along in the industry, I discovered that having a personal logo is better for the reasons I mentioned. Wherever you post, holiday greeting, you have that logo. So it could be Sabrine, maybe a stylized S, like a Superman S, that represents you. In this case, this logo represents my company. So what you can have is you can have a personal logo. So you want to brand yourself as an individual trainer, Okay, so the idea is not a company logo, but a personal logo. So the answer would be, I now say yes.
Okay.
Because can you
Okay.
can you imagine all of the posters you put out, all of the graphics, Happy Holidays, Selamat Hari Raya, Merry Christmas to my clients and whatever, it has your picture, but it also has that logo on it as well.
Okay.
How awesome would that look? And that
Very
logo
awesome.
also represents your brand color as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. There was another question.
I have a question.
Yes, I will.
So let's say if you want to work with another training provider, so do we use our personal brand or we use our company brand?
All right. So if you work with a training provider, you actually build relationships person to person. So you use yourself. For me, I use my company because I do invoicing and I don't want to pay income tax. So wherever they pay to my company, and my income tax is very, very low lah, because my company pays for everything. Does that answer the question? I actually have to explain to training providers when they say, what courses do you run? And I give them my website address and they go, oh, are you a training provider? I say, no, I'm not a training provider, but I do have a company to manage my other projects. I don't only do training. We have a training center behind the house. It's a coaching center. We plan to set up a community center for children so that children can come and study. You know, they don't want to go home directly because they have too many brothers and sisters like that. So that's a long-term plan for us, and we want the company to be able to do that. Also, the company holds my IP. Everything I create, it legally holds my IP. And so that it's easy for me to have a lawyer, you know, what's the word, hand that IP over to my children. Because if it's just individual, it'll be more challenging. Does that answer your question? A bit of a long answer to a short question.
Maybe that because currently, if you are going to go on your own, it's quite difficult because you are like me. I'm new.
When you say on your own, what do you mean on your own?
So as a company lah.
Oh, as a company. True. Because my company is not a training provider. I don't have my own clients. I literally do not have my own clients. I work only with training providers, and there's a reason for that. I left Accenture because of work-life balance issues. So if I do marketing, I do my own marketing, that takes time away from the family anyway. I prefer this. Of course, I will earn more as a training provider, but I will have to do more work. I have to do reports lah, kena buat TNA, kena buat meetings. And then you go for meetings, belum tentu dapat client. You're not going to, it's not a confirmed bet that you go for a meeting, you get that client. So I work with training providers only. Actually, yes, only.
If I may chime in, also
yes,
the same. I also have my business. I don't have a Sendirian Berhad, but I've got a sole proprietorship registered. So yeah, so upfront when I talk to training providers, I also sell through training providers only.
Yep.
So upfront I tell them, you know, yeah, I do have a business registered, but it's only for invoicing purposes. And and they understand that. There are no questions about it. I just tell them that I'm not a TP and I have this just for invoicing purposes.
So short answer, Saiful, is go on your own. Go direct. Oh, sorry, use your name, not use your company name.
Okay, all right.
Cool. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. For those of you who want to choose a company name or want to choose a service name, here's a bit of a guideline. You can name your brand using your name. Right? Once upon a time, I wanted to use Nazrin, but I was shy, so I didn't actually get around to doing that. But I do have a website now, nazrin.com. I was just watching. Every year, I just go and check, has anybody bought nazrin.com? Nobody. Anybody bought nazrin.com? Nobody. So in 2019, I bought it, I kept it, and then this year, I operationalized it. I built a website for it. And now I'm just going crazy, editing every single day, just putting stuff in. So you can use your name. Okay. So here are some examples of people's actual names being used to build the brand. Now, the challenge with this is that the product or the service has to be quite strong because the product is not mentioned in the brand name. Hewlett-Packard says nothing about computers. McDonald's says nothing about burgers. Maybe Kentucky Fried Chicken talks about fried chicken. Okay, that one passed lah. But Ramly, nothing. It doesn't say anything. So a lot of these are quite old school. You don't see people naming their brands after their name anymore because it doesn't help to describe the what's the word? The service. You actually have to build the service quite strongly in order to brand your name. You can also use morphemes. What is a morpheme? It is suku kata. In Malay, we call it suku kata, or small syllables that have meaning on their own. So, for example, Trivago. Can anybody tell me what these morphemes are? Where do they come from?
Travel, vacation, go.
Yep, trip, vacation, go. Actually,
a trip.
Trip, vacation, go. And then we have Microsoft, which is of course micro meaning small, soft from software. How about compact? Anyone know this one? I actually read this in the book, so I know the answer. Anyone? Compact.
Compact.
Well, you can tell that the word compact actually comes from compact, yeah, but it's actually computer package.
Oh.
Now you want to know the bad news?
Mm-hmm.
They paid $30,000 to a brainstorming group that came up with this name.
Oh,
Yeah, they paid 30,000. If I remember the number right, about 30,000 USD to a brainstorming group that brainstormed from about 9 p.m. to about midnight to get this. In 3 hours, they got this. Yeah. So I've been trying to get into this business for quite a while, but I have not been able to. One of my branding teachers, her name is Rumaizon. Anybody know this name? Rumaizon
Yeah, I
Amandi?
know.
Okay.
I know Rom.
So one of my branding teachers is her, and she gave me the opportunity to be part of a brainstorming session for Gardenia. So anybody know the Mi Kuning Gardenia produced?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the name?
Numi.
Numi. Do you like the name?
Yet.
Do you like the name?
Don't know lah.
Huh? Well, I have to confess that was my fault. we had in the room, we had graphic designers, I was invited, so we had graphic designers, copywriters, we had creative people, we had just a lot of creative people in the room, and the Gardenia leaders in the room as well. We had 5 tables. On our table, we had 5 people. And then I said, okay, let's start brainstorming. But guys, I need to get this name out of my head first because it's blocking my creativity. So I went to the whiteboard, the flip chart, and I wrote Numee, N-U-M-E-E. And they were like, what the hell is that? And I said, well, I don't know why. I keep thinking New Central, so I think Numee. And they said, that's a horrible name. I said, I know. So got that name out of my head. Then we started brainstorming. We came up with all sorts of nonsense stuff, mi cek kiah lah, mi apa entah, all sorts of nonsense. We collected all of that from 5 tables. We collected about 500 names, put it on Post-it notes, put it on the glass wall, and then we did dot voting. And anybody know what dot voting is?
Yeah, just
They give you those little colored
Yeah.
stickers that they buy from the stationery shop, and you have to vote by sticking. So the names with the most number of stickers gets to go to next round, semifinals, and then they came up to about 20 names. And one of those names was Numee. Now, the brainstorming session ended, we got paid, we went home. I didn't hear anything about that because I had signed an NDA. I was not allowed to say anything about it. Then one day, about a year later, they came out with a product. I saw it at the shop and I laughed my head off because of all the names you could have chosen, you chose the first name I came up with, which was the worst name, and they seemed to like it. So it's my fault, unfortunately. You don't believe me? Go and ask Rome. Okay, so compact names can be funny, can be weird, can be strange, but if you can tell the story, you can get the customer to believe in it. Air badak, cap badak also, minyak cap kapak also, sardine cap ayam also, you will buy. Okay, so it's not in the name, it is in the story that you can tell. And of course, Messi Niaga. Anybody know Messi Niaga?
Yeah.
What is Messi Niaga?
IBM.
Okay, so they were the first ones to bring in IBM, and they registered the company in Malaysia as Messi Niaga. From where? IBM stands for International Business Machines. So they literally just translated into Malay and registered the company in Malaysia as Messi Niaga. Choose what you guys want. Choose what you want. The latest trend in the last 10, 15 years is to go into the dictionary and pick out a word and just name your brand after that. The only
Google,
word Google. Well, Google actually is Google. Google is an actual word, but the founders misspelled it to become Google. They weren't aware of the actual spelling. It's actually Google. Google means infinity. So Google is out of
spell it?
Googol.
Googol.
I remember learning this in school. It was a scientist who created the concept of infinity. Not created, like he wanted to name infinity, and he says, what should we name it aside from infinity? And then his young daughter said, call it Google. And the scientist was so impressed. Okay, I'll call it Google. He published his paper and it stuck. So when the founders of Google wanted, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, when they wanted to set up their company, they said, let's choose Google because it represents infinity. That means you can search all the way to infinity, which is true. You can get lost on Google. But they misspelled it and the misspelling stuck. So you can use words. Certainly, I chose NSYNC because it's a morpheme. N-E-N in English means to activate, to do. So enable, engage, encourage, in sync. Or you can take all of these three and you combine lah into anything you want. Hovid is a pharmaceutical company in Penang, Z, correct?
Yes, correct. David Ho is the founder.
Yes, so the founder is David Ho. Actually, what it was, he inherited his father's Singsay company, his father's pharmaceutical Singsay company, took all of the Chinese medicines and he branded it Hovid from David Ho. This was one of my clients when I was working in public relations. I wrote his press releases every day because every day they got new products. Gila, this guy. Johawaki is a construction company based in Subang. And I had this answer, but I think my brain threw it out. Jo, Ha, Wa, and Ki are parts of the names of 4 brothers who came together to form this company. And the last one is Tesco. Tesco is the founder of Tesco, named it after his wife, Tessa Cohen. So I can't his wife is more famous than himself. I can't remember his name. He named it after his wife, Tessa Cohen. So do you need a brand name? Well, if you're a freelance trainer, then probably not. But if you want to have something that represents you very well, then you want to start thinking about this. Okay. So let's talk about name cards very quickly before we go. This course was designed in 2017 when name cards were actually relevant. Now the pandemic has happened, and I don't know if I should start throwing out these slides or not. But I think I just want to go through with you and share with you some of the psychology of it. Yeah? When I first started learning about name cards in 1997 from the publishing industry, I was taught that name cards that are landscape, landscape, that means you have to hold it like this to read it, represent companies that are well established, they are very credible, whereas name cards that are portrait, that stand up, tend to be companies that are new. They are upstarts, they are innovative, and they are willing to try new things. So I asked around, and I was like, well, back then there was no internet. So I asked people, why is that perception so? And then I realized they said, well, companies that are older, they're old school, they have landscape cards because that's how they used to do it all the time. Whereas the ones that are portrait tend to need to stand out. So it became that when you were a young company, you had a card that was a portrait standing up. And then as you got older and older, became more established, you were courageous enough to have a card that lied down. You know why? Because once upon a time, they used to keep name cards in Rolodexes. You remember this? Anybody young enough to remember those Rolodexer things? So when you go through the cards, all the cards would be landscape, and you see, suddenly you see a card that was pointing to the left.
So you want to slap their face.
God, I hope I didn't get a client like you. So the intention, with no psychological evidence at all, the intention was to stand out, so that you would stand out amongst all the other cards. Yeah. However, there are also other things that's crazy. My company in Cambodia, we have a perfectly circle card, perfectly round, which is impossible to keep anywhere except on the desk. So what happens was, to this day, clients still grumble, I remember you because your name card I cannot keep anywhere. I have to keep it on my desk. So they actually remember us more. I'm not saying that works all the time, but it just so happens my partner in Cambodia is just as crazy as I am. So I actually have a round, perfectly circled card. I don't have it on the slides, so I'll share it in the WhatsApp group later. Okay.
But more expensive to do though.
Oh, more expensive to do, but it was worth it lah. Because you should see the client face when we give it to them. We give them the card, they lama tau dia tengok, and they're very quiet. Because Cambodia is still quite a very traditional business environment. So when we come in, so my partner is an Australian, and I am Malaysian. But when we come in together, we give the card. Is there's this weird awkwardness lah. You have a guy in a baju Melayu, a baju they've never seen before, and then you have a guy in a suit, white Australian, and then a rounded card. Betul-betul hypnotic lah. Let's say NLP people will find it interesting to study. So what does a name card do? It introduces your role, one. It introduces your values. What is the values that are there? Look at the colors on my card. I want you to do an experiment for me. Okay, look at the front of the card, which is standing up. Okay, you see that? Now, with your hand, I want you to cover the bottom part of the card, which has those colored blocks. Cover the bottom, and then tell me what is the difference between having only a white card and having that at the bottom. What's the difference?
It feels more vibrant, you know, energetic, energy, vibrant when you have got more colors.
But it's only like 3 centimeters worth of stuff.
It does make difference.
Makes a difference. Yeah, it's some creativity. It's thought into. It has been thought through.
Okay. It was not thought through. Nazrin is not that smart. I just experimented with a few and I got feedback saying, oh, this one is better than the other one, which is empty. And I go, why? Don't know. So to this day, I don't
Experiment is thought through.
But client feedback has said, when I get your card, Nazrin, I feel like I want to look at it for a very long time.
I agree.
Yeah. So when I got that feedback, I'm like, hey, I think I stumbled on something. So Rizal is an NLP expert. Yeah, he's a master NLP practitioner. So I spoke to him and I spoke to a few other people who are good at cards. They said you want to have a card that people want to look at and what's the word, inspect for a long time. So I go, how do I do that? Make them do something. Okay, so the front of the card, look, the front of the card is portrait. When you flip to the back of the card, what do you have to do? What are you forced to do? You're forced to turn it, correct?
Yeah.
So what have I made you do? I've made you do what I want you to do. I want you to actually take action. I want you to stay longer on the card. And when you have to read the card, you're gonna terbalik. So the longer it stays in your hand, the more impression it makes. And what happens is, while they are looking at the card, I'm also talking. I'm also talking to them. Okay, oops, sorry about that. So let me explain this card. I've never given you anybody here this card. This card is actually printed on heavy paper stock. So when you get it, you feel it's heavy in your hands. And when you try and bend it, it makes this noise. Whoop. And it's not glossy, it is matte. So from my description, tell me what your impression would be of this card.
Solid.
It's, if I remember right, it's about 200, I think 200 grams. 200 grams, heavy stock. It cost me 25 cents per card. 25 sen. And it's matte. You know what matte is? It's not glossy. Because if it's glossy, it looks what? It looks cheap. But it's matte. So this card has actually got me quite a lot of good business because when people look at it, they experience it. Yeah. So you can choose a data focus card which has all of your certifications, all of the projects you've done, everything, basically your resume on your name card, or an experience focus card. Because Nazrin does not have NLP certification, I don't even have ICF, International Coaching Federation as well, I could not do a data focus card. So what I do, I use an experience focus card where they interact with the card. My next card, if the pandemic did not happen again, I was planning to actually have, send the front would be the same. The back would actually have tips and tricks, communication tips and tricks. And I would have 4 different sets. I mix them together. So when you look at the front, okay, you get, when you look to the back, you actually learn something. But I never got around to doing that. So if given the opportunity, I will continue having an experience focus card. So far, so good. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Okay.
Nazreen,
yes.
what is data focus card?
Oh, okay. This is a data focus card. Look at this guy.
Oh, okay.
No. Don't judge. Don't judge. This guy.
No, but it's very a lot of work.
A lot of work. This guy gets quite a lot of business from this card. Okay.
Yes.
So we don't judge because there are many ways of doing the same thing. One of these days, I get my doctorate. I will put that lah. Dr. Muhammad Nazreen. Dato Dr. Muhammad Nazreen.
No, but we use this kind of cards whenever we are doing for our EHS, our environmental and safety.
Yep.
We know straight away to look out for these colors. Not the color cards, but we know to zoom in because we're looking for credentials.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
important for us.
I put this card not to criticize. I put this card to say this is another option for you. So I put mine as an example of an experience focus. This is a data focus card. Because why? It's a mini resume. It's a mini resume. It gets it out there immediately. And if you have your own personal website, it's already there. Okay. What does it do? It wants to build credibility, not experience, not to give people an experience while they are reading your card, but to build credibility. And look, you will never find, I've never found a data focus card that was portrait. Has anybody seen that?
Never.
It's always been landscape because for 100 years, professional name cards were always landscape. Doctors, architects, professionals. When I was at Accenture, because Accenture was a company founded in 1955, as innovative as Accenture is, they still use landscape as well. Okay, and it gives a very business to business vibe. My card does not give a business to business vibe. It gives a very, individual, freelance, professional to business. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So, questions? Yes.
Can it be something like a combination between both?
Well, if you combine between them, I don't see a problem. You can.
Okay.
Maybe you do clean on the front, and then you put all of your credentials at the back. Also, no problem.
Okay.
Do you know why I'm saying no problem? There's no scientific evidence either way.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll say I don't see a problem. What's more important is what you say to them when you're handing over the card. Your identity statement. Introduce yourself with your identity statement. Okay, why do I teach you the identity statement? Because it's worked for me so well that I stopped doing it. Every time there was a trainer meeting, there was a meet with networking event or things like that, I would introduce myself with my identity statement. Hi, my name is Nazreen. I specialize in communication, and I help I help improve professional relationships at the workplace. Within the first 10 seconds, and when I did that to like 20, 30 different people, I would often leave the room with their name cards, and the next day we would talk, actually have conversations to get jobs. So I got a lot of that until I stopped doing it. I no longer do it. But I'm telling you, the identity statement is powerful. Yeah, if you don't believe me, try it out. You introduce yourself in client meetings, apa semua, very quickly. Hi, my name is Nazreen. So thank you for inviting me to the meeting. Let me share with you a bit about myself. You don't go, I was born in 1977 in Kuala Lumpur in Hospital Sambi. You don't do that. You go straight to the point and say, this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is why I do it. And it gets straight into their brains. I thank God for the teachers who taught me that. Okay? Thank you for the question. Apa tu?
Yeah. Nazreen,
yes.
Can I just check, like in this case, when you're talking about identity statement, so in this case, looking at his card, with so many words itself, how does that gel with the identity statement?
Well, let's try and make one for him. What do you think Dr. Stephen Muru's identity statement would be? I am a qualified auditor. I am he's a corporate trainer, he's a consultant lead auditor. Saiful, help us out here. You would be able to be able to put this together better than us. What do you think? Saiful, are you still there?
Yep.
What do you think?
So if
Dr. Stephen Muru is a
qualified auditor for
qualified auditor.
ISO 9000, ISO 14000, ISO 45000.
Okay, so those are the things he does.
So he also, his company also is ISO 9001 certified.
Okay.
Okay, and he also a trainer for ISO 40000, 9000, and safety.
Okay. So he's got like 1, 2, 3 different identity statements here.
Yep.
So he's a corporate trainer, he's a consultant, he's a lead auditor. So if we focus on lead auditor, I am a certified lead auditor who can audit in this and this and this to help organizations become more credible. I know I'm making stuff up, but that would be an identity statement for him. Is that answer the question for you, Diana?
Kind of, but because there are so many roles that he is having there,
Yes.
so would it kind of confuse people?
It would confuse. Okay, so this is what I was taught. When you hand over your card, you hand over your card and you introduce yourself. Don't let the card introduce you.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
In my opinion, the top part is about his credibility.
Yeah.
The bottom part is his company accreditation.
Yes.
Can I attempt to answer that?
Yes, please.
From my point of view. Actually, this person, Mr. Stephen, is Dr. Stephen. He's a specialist in ISO stuff, all things about ISO. So he trains people in ISO stuff. He also does consulting in ISO, and he's also an ISO auditor.
Okay.
So if I look at this card, this is what I get.
So you combine all three. I am an ISO specialist who helps organizations upskill and get certified. I'm just pretending I know this stuff, but I'm trying to build an identity statement for him. What do you think, Doctor?
So I would say I'm a specialist in ISO. I help companies to upskill.
Yep.
Help to consulting is like guide something, and also help you to audit your what you do.
Well,
Something
it
like
would be more like prepare for an audit.
Yeah.
Kalau consultant, if I understand it right, Saiful, it's I help companies to prepare to be audited.
Correct.
Is that right?
Consultant help to develop, implement and maintain the system.
Okay. 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 So we now have the role, we have the what, and we have the how. What is his why? What is his value? It's not mentioned here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that we're missing lah. Why? Why does he do it? Sometimes they will put a quotation at the bottom of the card. You know, some I notice some more not stereotyping, but more senior trainers who were active in the 80s and the 90s. I see that their name cards are the quotations from famous people. Do you guys see that? Has anybody seen that before? Like climb until you cannot climb anymore. I know, I just made that up. And that delivers the value, that shares with the value. And on their profile, their biodata pun, sometimes the first sentence is that quotation. Do you do that, Doctor?
I don't.
No, okay. So I think it's dying out now. I used to see like trainer profiles from long ago. They would do that. They would introduce themselves with a quotation from Nelson Mandela or something like that. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for helping out with the answers. Now let me show you a couple of experience focus cards. And I just realized, yes, I have my card down there. That is what my card looks like. It is ridiculously round, kan?
Cute.
My kids play they like to throw it around like a frisbee. Okay. So if you look, okay, there's a couple of others. These ones I pulled from the internet. This guy is a divorce lawyer and his card can be torn in two. And the phone number is on both sides. So you can give one to the husband, one to the...
Very creative.
That's nice.
So when you call him, you can call it, when you call him, you say, hello, is this James? Or you call him, hello, is this Mr. Mahan? On the left, I think this guy is a stockbroker or stockbroker consulting. So on one side is, you know, the share prices go up, buy, or share prices go down, sell. So data focus cards is to build credibility. Experience focus cards introduces the concept of your service. It aims to create curiosity. There is no set orientation. You can do both. As you can see, my circle again, there's no set orientation. You can do landscape, you can do portrait. And in my case, I did both. It gives a very B2C vibe, okay? Business to corporate, not just business, but business to corporate. It's a sensory experience. In my case, you had to turn it around. There's a lot of colors and it's heavy in the hand and you try and bend it. There's a bit of a sound there. When you try and touch it, it's matte, it's rough on your fingers. So you focus on what they see, what they read, and what they touch. Does this make sense? What questions do you have? Again, I don't know whether I should keep these slides in because I think the pandemic has effectively made name cards like sudah tak pakai dah.
It's not only the pandemic. I think prior to this, some companies are going green, so they're doing QR codes.
Also, yes, also
stuff like that. So things to consider when doing cards.
Okay, good. Any questions? All right. Last part is this. Okay, I want you to think about your story. I want you to think about your identity statement. Has anybody submitted yet? Identity statement?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I want you to think about that. And last slide for the day. Take a look at your identity statement and then take a look at the answers you gave for tonight's class, including the choice of colors and stuff like that. Does everything align with your brand name, your logo, your colors? So Nazrin says that my identity statement is like this. I want people to see me like this. I want my logo to look like this. Do they align or not? And if they do align, then well done. If they don't align, then you want to make a bit more changes. Can you tell a consistent story about your brand? So I told you a story about my brand tonight. I told you about how it relates to Silat. I told you about how it relates to social styles, my key methodology. And it relates back to my identity statement about helping people gain empathy in order to improve their working relationships, their professional relationships. So from the identity statement into the logo, into the colors, the meaning of the colors, into the story, into the name of the company, I have one consistent story. Can you tell a consistent story about your brand? Will it make sense to the audience? And what do people see you do that aligns your identity with your brand? So these are questions that I don't have answers for. You need to figure this out for yourself. Please ask me what you want to ask me now.
So if we have already submitted the identity statement and it does not gel with this, do we change it?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
But I would rather you fix, I would rather that if your identity statement is who you truly are anyway, okay, then you don't fix that one, you fix this one.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. Any more? Any other questions?
Is this an assignment, Nazrin?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Next slide will be the assignment.
Okay.
This is only step 5. So step 5 is a bit of a softer step. It's not a hard step. So step 1, step 4, you actually had actual answers. This one is more of a contemplation.
So let's say if I already have a company name, I already have a logo.
Okay.
And I already have a colors.
Okay.
But now everything doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So here's the answer. Create a story around those colors, around that logo. The designer of your school logos had nothing in mind. I'm telling you, they had nothing in mind when they were designing the logos. It was given to someone who, okay, what does it mean? Oh, this color means this. This torch, this book means this. This icon here means this. Okay, so most of the time when they design those logos, they had nothing in mind. It was just that. So the more important part is the story you tell. That's why public relations is such a booming industry. They can spin anything they want, just like advertising, just like marketing. Yeah, but I don't want to dip into the dark arts, not that kind of evil. All I'm saying is, if you already have a logo, you have your colors, then find a way to tell a story that can integrate all of that. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to tell you another story. That NSYNC learning logo, okay, I didn't design it from scratch. I went onto a free logo maker and it spat out there. I was like, oh, this looks nice. I never thought of talking about social styles or, I didn't even see the little people holding hands. I made that up. I didn't design it that way. I made that up. It was only after like, what story can I tell? Huh? Hey, they're like heads, and this like hands, people holding hands. Okay lah, I'll tell that story. So now I have lost all credibility in your eyes. The original logo was blue. Everything was blue. It was only after I decided to brand it with companies, then I go, okay, what's a good name that can go with this logo? And then I came up with NSYNC. It was in January 2012. I remember very clearly. I was downstairs I was practicing for an event the next day. I was holding my sofa and it came to me in a flash. The name just popped into my head at 2 a.m. in the morning. Ta-da! So I got the name of the company. I got the name of the methodology. My methodology is called NSYNC, to synchronize you inside and out. It just came. So then I started building that story and I went back to the logo. Without redesigning the logo, I just added colors. I added colors and I go, what shall this mean? Or this outside square will mean a formal organization, and an inside holding hands, that's an informal relationship. So yes, I think I've lost all credibility with you because now you know what happened. It was not by intent, it was not by design. You can tell any story you want. It's your power. Saiful, okay? Boleh?
How often do you explain your logo?
Every time I meet a new client.
Oh, okay.
Every time I meet a new client. But sometimes before the card gets there, now when I do online meetings, I just use the identity statement and I explain the methodology. So the logo doesn't play as much of as importance nowadays because we don't pass name cards anymore. Okay. Everybody's being very quiet. I'm very scared because I don't know what I just did.
No,
Listening.
Paying attention.
Okay.
I think my on the actually when we literally give away cards also, in my view, it kind of like devalues the cards. That's my view anyway. So I give selectively that I connect to people who I want to connect with.
Yes.
Right. So I give the cards who I want to people who I want to work with or connect with. Right. So I still carry one box of cards.
Yep.
So where there are times when your handphone doesn't work or you cannot do electronically, so that's the time.
So I agree with you, Doctor. In fact, for everyone else, if you want to pick up the same habit as Dr. Khairul and me, purposely make your cards expensive. Then you will choose who you give your cards to, not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry. But the way I was taught is that when you give your card, don't let your card introduce you. You introduce yourself. The card is only alat bantuan mengajar. It is only an assistant. Don't let the card introduce you. That means what they read, they will decide. Remember, when they read your card, they will decide what the card is about. Don't do that. You introduce the card, you introduce the company, you introduce the values of your organization. So the card is only an assistant, nothing more. Cool? Okay, everyone's gone very quiet. So, any last questions? It's quite late already. Let's get into the assignment. So your assignment is to choose a personal brand name, not necessarily a company name. So past participants have done their name. So it could be like Zahira, Z, and then you design a logo around that Z.
That is my
You
logo.
design that logo around that Sabrine, right? In fact, Sabrine, am I right in understanding the root word of your name is sabr?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's from the Quran, Inna Allah ma'a sabirin.
Yes.
But yeah, but short.
So we
Sabrina.
we share something in that my name is Nazarene.
Oh, okay.
The observers.
Because when you say Nazarene, I didn't connect right away, but now like when you said Nazarene, then yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't connect yours because we're both missing an eye.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I have started doing this because there's a story behind my name as well. When I was born, my mother wanted to name me Nazrin, Nazrin, after her office boy. She had an office boy because she's Singaporean. Okay, so I'm gonna say there's gonna be some stereotypes here. So my mother's Singaporean. When she came to Malaysia and she started up a company here, she noticed that this office boy was very hardworking, not like other Malaysians. This was the 1970s. This was 1970s. She noticed this young boy was very hardworking, had good integrity, was very honest, and in her own words, not like other Malaysians. So when I was born, she wanted to name me Nazrin just like him. But my late grandfather, who speaks Arabic, he said no, because Nazrin means man of Nazareth. And there was absolutely nothing wrong to have that, because that means follower of Jesus. No problem at all. But my grandfather wanted to add a D to that Z, which tortured me the whole of my school life. Added a D so that it would in Arabic be pronounced Nazarin. And I started embracing that branding as well, because people tell me that name sort of actually explains a little bit of what I do. I love to watch people. So the observers, not one observer, but many observers. So all in me. So it's all storytelling, guys. Yeah. If I can create a logo from nothing and then tell a story about it, you can definitely do that as well. So choose a personal brand name. If you want to use a company brand name, no problem. You want to use what's current there, no problem. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to be able to tell a story about it. So explain in 100 words, what is the message that your brand name and that logo sends? Okay. And this, I think this is due on Sunday. So you have quite a bit of time. Ask me questions now, please.
Nazreen,
yes.
What happens if we already have a personal brand name, but then, well, I've been using it for many years, but the thing is, I don't, after going through your session, I think I've got better ideas. I need to do something about it. So, but I don't have any plans to change it soon.
That's okay. For this assignment, what I want to see is your ability to tell that story.
Ability, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So even if you use the old logo, as long as you can explain it, it aligns with your identity statement, it tells me your values, then we're good to go.
Got it.
Yep. Okay. Again, remember Chap Ayam. They sell sardines, for God's sake. It's a picture of a rooster, but people trust it. Why?
That's a story as well.
There's a story behind. So as long as you can tell the story, people will be enchanted by it.
Right.
Not everybody is going retro, right? There's a shop in One Utama. It's called Barang Barang. The word means things in Malay, just barang barang. But it's so well designed, kan? It looks wow, so chic, very, very French. Barang barang. And did you know that the producer of rubber mattresses, Getha? Have you heard of Getha?
Yep.
Yes.
Do you know it's actually from Getah?
Yeah.
I found out late when I was working in PR. I found that out late. I was like, what? I thought it was a French word. No, it's Getha. It's from Getah. So as long, okay, I'll repeat this one last time, guys. As long as you can tell a story around it, then that's what reaches out to your customers, your clients, your participants, whoever watches you on social media. Tell that story confidently, and they're attracted to you. That's the whole point of this. So any color, you can make that color mean anything you want. Any logo, you can make that logo mean anything you want. It's your story, so tell it before somebody else tells your story. Make sense? All right. So I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to say goodbye. Anyone who has to stay behind for questions is welcome to do so. But for now, thank you very much, everyone. It is quite late. I'm always happy to see you and your cats. So have a good night, and we will see you on Friday night. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good
Good
night,
night,
Nazreen.
everyone.